Hahn, and Theo Hahn has some very important things to tell you about this evening. Theo also definitely has owned a snowsuit, definitely owns at least a pair of snow pants at this point, still currently. So very well equipped for a day like today. Let me pull up that image for you, but y'all give Theo a warm round of applause, please.
Thank you, Chelsea. Like a lot of liberals, I spent a lot of time looking for ways to emotionally oppress Trump supporters, leveraging influence via back channels on the dark web, trying to destroy America, coordinating the takeovers of white neighborhoods by Black and Hispanic families, encouraging multi-ethnic relationships, not being shitty to people, yada yada. It was during one of these sessions, researching via Bloogle, that I came across something fascinating. I'm sure you've all heard of Bloogle. It's a search engine that only progressives are allowed to use. It's better than regular Google, plus it gives us access to tasteful and deeply moving Bernie Sanders pornography. Anyway, one of my favorite pastimes on Bloogle is to buy things modern-day Nazis want using credit cards stolen from Republican members of Congress. Like old Third Reich propaganda or toilet seats from U-boats, and then burning them, or preferably running them through a pelletizer and then having them turn into cat litter for animals owned by resettled Syrian refugees. It was during one of these shopping sprees where I found for auction one of the last existing cases of what appeared to be an unsuccessful knockoff of Hormel's beloved Spam, which is surprising given its name. A gepresster Schewinesturm, which translates to pressed pig storm. The bidding on this item spiraled into the thousands. So using some Bitcoin I borrowed from George Soros, I purchased 128 cans of the stuff, and while waiting for receipt of the goods, I researched further. The history of gepresster Schewinesturm begins during the Weimar Republic, the interwar period during which German citizens experienced tremendous economic hardship at the end of World War I. Meat consumption of all kinds decreased by more than 50% compared to before the war, which was especially difficult if you know anything about how crazy Germans are for pork. They were not alone in suffering post-war privations, but they suffered the most during this time. Visions of a homeland replete with exotically spiced wurst trucked in from every corner of a conquered continent were replaced with the stark reality of hungry Germans perfuming their handkerchiefs with the rendered fat from what few sausages a family could scrounge, and spending the rest of the week wafting the scent until they could afford a few more meager links. The history of German deodorant and cologne during this period is just terrible. Through the booming 20s and the depression to follow, pork was still at a premium. Thus, in 1935, 2 years before Hormel would introduce Spam in America, an enterprising sausage producer, Gustav von Bratsberg, a distant descendant of Nicolas Appert, the French confectioner who invented the canning process through which Napoleon fed his troops, figured out that you could take bits of pig carcass left over from traditional processing methods, mix them with a little bit of salt, sugar, ground clove, and ground pencil shavings for texture, and press it through a sieve, pour the mixture into a can, seal it, and cook it, and make it shelf-stable. It would become a core part of the wartime German diet and the field rations of the German army. That's the reason why a lot of Nazis in movies seem really grumpy. They're not having a good time. 2 years later, food scientists at Hormel would debut their own version of the product, but only using ham and pork shoulder and leaving out the pencil shavings. One Hormel scientist explained the decision in a memo to a Hormel VP of product development saying, quote, "Nazis are fucking gross and weird." I am now the proud owner of 128 cans of this stuff. And like me, if you want to honor the enterprising spirit of the regime that fostered its creation and manufacture, please join me this weekend where I will be renting a van and driving out to the suburbs and dumping the contents of said cans into 5-gallon buckets and filling the mailboxes of suburban Trump supporters with as much of this goop as will fit. Thank you.